Hello and welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in this video we're going to try and get a little bit further done with your man here before we pop him on horseback and see how things happen. Okay, so what we want to do first of all is we need to start highlighting his armour, and for that we're going to be using a paler gold than we used beforehand. If I can find the gold I want to use. I really should have done this before I came on camera, but here we go. Now the paint we've got is a pale gold colour. It's Auric Armour Gold. I hope you can see that without me tilting the pot too much. Okay, so we're going to be using this. Let's give it a bit of a shake because it's separated a little bit in the pot. We'll pop it open and get some on our wet palette. There we go. And then we'll add a little bit of water to our brush. Get some of the paint on our brush, and let's look towards highlighting some of these areas. Now obviously we want to be picking out any raised areas, any areas that are any areas that are above the miniature. That way it shows where light is hitting. Oops, a little bit too much there. What I need to do is just a quick rub off. And so we don't want this incredibly bright, but we do want it looking as though there is some light hitting it. Mind you, I'm saying we don't want it incredibly bright. I wouldn't have it incredibly bright, let's put it that way. But I'm not doing this to my taste. Otherwise it'd be, as you know, it will be all rusted and metal silver rather than gold coloured. We are going towards the Mantic style of colour scheme, and I am actually hoping I'm doing an adequate job. If you watch the first three videos of this, the second one at the moment is just uploading to YouTube. If you watch the first three videos of this, you will know that I'm doing this as a request by Ferrari. He asked me nicely, as I said before, if I would paint one of these pieces the way in the Mantic colour scheme, the way they've painted theirs, and well, because he asked so nicely, I had to say yes. So, as I say, I'm hoping I'm doing the kind of thing he's looking for with this, because as you know, I've said it before in videos, I'll say it again, this is not the way I prefer to paint my minis. I prefer making up my own colour scheme, because let's face it, if I bought the miniatures, unless there is a set colour, a set army that these are for, then I don't see why I should paint them in the way the company that made the minis has painted them. I mean, obviously if you're doing some form of historical battles, then you would paint them a certain way, otherwise it wouldn't be right. If you're doing what you call it, doing something like, I think I've given this example before in another one of my videos explaining why I make up my own colour schemes. If you're collecting Warhammer 40k stuff, for instance, you wouldn't do ultramarines in green or pink. You'd do them in blue, because that's the colour, that is the army. It's a set army, it's a set colour scheme for that set army, so you would do them in the correct colour scheme. This, however, is not a set army, and as such I have no inclination to paint these figures other than being asked to do so. I would have no inclination to paint them the same way that so in this case Mantic, the Mantic Promo shots are, I prefer to make up my own colour scheme and to make it look my own paints, or to make it look my own army rather. And that for me is important, which is another reason why I don't show you how I mix my paints, because I think individualism in your painting is probably the best thing you can do. Learn to do, I mean, I've showed in the past how I mix paints. If you want to find out the way to mix paints, either go look up, well, not necessarily the way to mix paints, but how I've mixed paints in the past, look at one of my old videos. If you're looking towards something to, what's the word I'm looking for now? If you're just starting out and you're looking for that as how to mix paints, as I said, go to one of my older videos, as that will give you not necessarily the best way of doing things, but it will give you an idea of how to do things. It'll get you started, let's put it that way. Other than that, I know I've said in other videos that my reasoning behind making these videos is to encourage people to start out on their own for the first time painting, and that is true. That's what I am doing, and that's how I started out doing. But as I'm learning, I'm trying to pass on the things I'm learning as well. So I'm hoping with that you understand why I don't show you every little thing the way I used to, because honestly I just think it could be easier for you learning how to mix the paints by not watching me and just doing it. If you know what I mean. I'm just adding, what I've done here is I've mixed some of the what was the other gold I used? Balthazar gold and the Auric Armour gold to make a slightly darker colour gold to go along the bottom of the armoured areas where the light isn't necessarily going to hit, and also to do that just to make it a little bit different colour. There we are. So I think that's the gold areas done. Next, what we want to do is using a bit of white, when I can find it, it's right in front of me and I couldn't see it. White scar, as you know, that's the one we've used before. A small amount of this. I'm not going to go too heavily, there's just going to be a little bit, and with this we're just going to go on the skull. And I've just noticed there's an area of one of his hands that hasn't been what's the word I'm looking for? Highlighted. It's in fact not highlighted, it's shaded. And if it has, it's not taken the shade very well. So what I'm doing is just going down. I'm using like a dry brush technique. I'm going down the fingers and I'm going to just go here, pick out the fingers and the thumbs and everything else, and then I'm going to go over it with another wash. There we go. In fact, that's what I'm going to do all over the whites. Give it another wash with Nuln Oil. Okay, so I'm going to do that next. So we have our Nuln Oil shade, and so this is just going to be going on the hands. It's just making the hands incredibly grey rather than putting the black shadows in it, which is what we want it to do. And I'll just go over the head again just to tie it in a little bit more. There we are. Next part, what we're going to be doing is going over the sword, and for that we're going to be using Runefanged steel, which is this colour, once the camera decides to focus. So we're going to be using Runefanged steel, and let's say it's just down the sword like so. And that's that done. And next we're going to be having some more of the Altdorfgard blue and mix in some of the white scar. This is the Altdorfgard blue, this is the one we use for his cape and his robes. So we're going to be using a little bit of that. We don't have much left on the palette because I didn't use a lot of it. And what I'm going to do with this is, as I said, mix in a little bit of the white scar. In fact, I'm mixing what we have left of the white scar. Just like so, and again using our fine brush we will just go and run the brush down some of these areas to pick out the highlights. That's the bit that's not. It looks a bit more difficult than it actually is, to be honest. I'm just trying to get it on the raised areas, and a lot of these areas are actually going to be in shadow. And so just picking out the raised areas and the areas that are going to be lit, and edges as well. Top edges, should I say. I don't want them on every edge, otherwise it would make it too fussy. And considering that we had give this a wash of the Altdorf blue rather than actually paint it, it's also helped to highlight it slightly by not having a tremendously flat coverage on it. Actually seeing the highlight, or you're seeing where the highlight should go. Now we can come back again and add more stronger highlights to this, obviously by making a paler blue colour. There we are. And let's do that, shall we? Let's go back and make a much paler blue, and just do a few more highlighted areas. Now if you're doing this, don't cover all that paint you've just put on, and don't be very sparing with this. As you can see, I'm just doing it near the edges. There we go. And all that on upward areas, rather, shall we say, might be a better way of putting it. And this sticky tack stops sticking now, so we're drying out a little bit with it being under hot lights. That is that, I think. And what I'm going to do as well is add a little bit of that very bright blue to a little bit of the leather colour we had, and just go over the top edge of the leather, just to show that there is some highlight there. Just need to mix a little bit more of it. I didn't quite mix enough. There we are. And what I want to do as well is on the belt buckle I'm going to use a little bit of the Runefang steel. And just go over that area. Yep. This is going to be good. It looks as though I'm going to have to set this to pieces in a second and get sorted for the banner. But we'll see how we go. Now what I want to use for the banner pole is a brown colour, and I'm using not Rhino side, I don't want that one for this. I want Dryad Bark. Where's it gone? There. I'll just put that to one side. Using Dryad Bark. It's the same colour I think I used for the what you may call it, it's the belts. And just go over the banner pole, trying to be very careful you don't go on the hands or the hand. Just noticed I should have done a little bit of gold at the bottom of this, but could always come back and do that again a little later. It's no big deal. Oops. So I'm just trying to find a place where I can actually see what I'm doing, get it in the right angle for painting. There we go. So the banner pole is almost all done. Just one little tiny bit left to do, which is just there. And then the bit that I'm not looking forward to is actually painting the banner. The reason I'm looking forward to that is because it's going to be a pain in the neck. It's blue and red with a vertical what do we call it, vertical division part way through. So what I'm going to have to do is find out where that blue is going to end. In fact, what I better doing first before I do anything like that is find out which side the blue is and which side the red is, because I cannot for the life of me remember. So I think I'm going to leave it there, let that wash and the banner pole dry. In fact, I'll not leave it there yet. What I'll do is I'll just do the bottom of this with that mix of Auric Armour Gold and the Balthazar Gold. We'll use that there, like so. I'll take this off, I'll get it sticky again, and when we come back in the last video we'll do the banner. I'll also finish off the base with the horse, but let's put him on the horse and see how he looks. So far It's looking pretty good. I hope you like it. Right, so that's it at the moment from me. As I say, when I come back, I will we'll get the banner done. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Because there's a little bit of freehand work I need to do on it as well, which is another thing I really don't like doing. But as I say, we're nearly finished, and I'm hoping you've enjoyed the video series, Matt. But until next time, as always, take care, God bless, and bye for now.